Welcome back to the Moisture Farm, everybody. As you can see today, we're talking about Han Yellow, a deck that is of much controversy right now in the Star Wars Unlimited community as it pertains to its power level, its performance statistics in planetary qualifiers this season. Obviously, specifically the DJ and more specifically the Tech DJ interaction with this leader is the most talked about meta change that people want to see. I have just very recently started dabbling in this deck. When I first got into Star Wars Unlimited, I was still relatively new to TCGs in general, and I felt like this deck was a little bit past my skill level when I first got in. Now that I've got some more games under my belt, I've started dabbling in it. Obviously, it's like I said, it's a real strong meta player right now, so I want to be familiar with it. I've got the San Francisco PQ coming up, and this one is up on my consideration. Most of the cards here, everyone's very familiar with. Not a whole lot I need to talk about here. Liberated Slaves is one that's, I think, kind of a newer entry to the main deck as compared to what this deck looked like last season. 3/5 stats on turn one is really good. Can't get Tarkin Town for the most part. That's almost impossible to get rid of turn one. 3 Cunnings, obviously. The sideboard, which is as usual under the camera. For this particular event, I didn't bring a huge sideboard. I did bring 2 Leias and 2 Bamboozles, but that was really it. As you can see, this deck list is copied from second place of the Sao Paulo, Brazil Planetary Qualifier. And this is straight up the deck that I used. It's 52 cards because, as many of us have noticed, the international deck lists are always like 51, 52 cards. And I kept it the same. Just like I said, I'm dabbling in this. As you will see, because I'm relatively new to Han, I make some pretty rookie Han mistakes that you might catch in the gameplay. So keep that in mind. Don't roast me too hard for those. I'm learning the deck, and I've got a couple games to show, including one matchup that I played against twice, a deck matchup that I played against twice, that I think is about to take the meta by storm. It kind of already is. Let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay. All right, so jumping right into game one, I'm going up against Jesse rocking Boba Yellow, which is kind of an interesting matchup for me. I've definitely played against Boba Yellows that have like matched my tempo, and then obviously like playing Boba, they get a little bit of a buff. Jesse plays the Cloud Rider with no ambush target. I'll bring out the Falcon turn one after that Han resource. Pretty standard Han shenanigans there. One thing that I am worried about with this deck, and I'm definitely worried about in this matchup particular, is leaders, and specifically upgraded leaders. Very, very tough to deal with this deck. And the Boba Fett's armor is already kind of nasty. So I definitely want to make sure I have a plan for that. The Leia unit helps on the sideboard where I can just tap it down, play it and tap it down. And then Bamboozle also is nice. I get to exhaust the unit and return upgrades. So, even those are not like perfectly ideal ways to deal with, big leaders with upgrades on them. But Jesse's going to resupply, swing in with the Cloud Rider. I'll bring out and just go with a tempo play here. I really like bringing Cunning down turn 2 when we're going up against ramp, just to kind of like punish and then kind of even things out. The trade for you going up a resource on me is a big swing and potentially a bounced unit or a discard depending on Cunning, when I got my Cunnings and I played Boba Yellow, and in Boba Yellow, you would always use the bounce because then you're paying 3 for Cunning with Boba's ability. With this deck, obviously, like you're much less incentivized to bounce. Right here, I'm just trying to decide if I want to bring the Falcon to my hand or not, and I think I will in order to keep all my resources up because I didn't. Wanted to keep all my resources up on 4. Jesse goes in with Crafty Smuggler. But as I was saying, with Cunning in Han, discard gets utilized a lot more, I've found, when I play Cunning. So I'll go ahead and smuggle in tech. Definitely a good play for me. More so because I've used Han's ramp ability for the first 2 turns. Cloud Rider is going to ambush into me for 4 with that Boba ability. So tech's down to 1 away from death. I believe I've got the DJ in my resource. And with initiative, I can put the pressure on Jesse to deal with tech if I smuggle him out right now. He's ramped, so he's on to 6 resources. Go ahead and bring in DJ, make sure I replace that smuggle. And especially with Han, like the tech DJ is so oppressive because it ramps me to 6 and, obviously de-ramps your opponent. So now I've put Jesse in a spot where he goes ahead and takes out tech and swaps shield. But now I can deploy my leader, and since we're both playing 6 deploy leaders, and he's ramped, so he could have played his leader too if I hadn't stolen that. Now Jesse's down to 5. He's leader locked if he can't deal with DJ. Very, very oppressive move there. Jesse's got to figure out if he can take care of DJ or not. He decides to take captive of DJ, maybe just to keep. I'm just gonna swing right back and get DJ. Maybe just to keep Han off my base, keep tempo. I am up 10. His base has 10 damage to my 3, so maybe just trying to slow me down. But DJ survives the phase, so I do get to blow that up. Now I've got to bounce 2 resources here. So yeah, now, I'm moving up to 6 here. And now Jesse is just now getting to 6. So I have found like ramp in general is a tough matchup for me. It definitely makes the DJ play a lot worse when your opponent's ramping. Still able to pull it off here. Definitely have to be worried about removal on the other side of Han. I know that's what a lot of people right now are trying to figure out. How do I deal with Han Yellow? And there's pivotal turns with Han. He's gonna go ahead and play that other Cloud Rider into Han. There's just pivotal turns that you have to be aware about. If tech's on the board on 5 resources, you have to be ready for that. You have to, and sometimes you just don't get the cards, and that's just card games for you. But if you have an answer, you have to hold on to it. In Jesse's case, a crafty smuggle and then a Cloud Rider or a waylay or something. So I'm playing the Cunning on DJ, and I chose discard for him, obviously with an empty board and there's nothing to return. Discard's nice, man. It's I've been enjoying using that feature of Cunning I think this season we've really caught on to how strong discard is. Lots of hand hate cards. I think like Han 2 Pillage for set 2 was the first time that we like really started appreciating hand hate. And now Quinlan Red is a big deal. Jesse, I think, claims initiative here with DJ swinging in for 7. He does not want to flip Boba into that. As you can see here, the side of his hand, he's got some interesting cards. If you can see what those are, this phase might get a little spicy. So he'll start by flipping Boba into my open resources, which, I mean, for him, like, is not really that big of a deal because, like, I don't have any, like, one turn or, like, one card leader destruction. So I'm going to bring in a Hot Shot Blaster and just keep pushing tempo here. Force him to deal. I go into Boba because I was worried about the armor. Wanted to try and get some damage on him at least before the armor comes on. So DJ goes into Boba. Now he's got the armor on, so I have to deal. Let's see. He's at 5. I don't like autofocus. I still have not figured this out. So he's at 9. He was in dealt 5, which means, at this point, I have to deal 6 damage at once to take him out. So ridiculous. So that card was so gnarly on villain Boba, and it is still a beast. Upgraded leaders is a problem. I'll go ahead and drop the Falcon here. And now he's got the Darksaber on an armored Boba Fett. What a beast. That thing's about to swing into me for 10 damage on my base. And I'm definitely scared here because if I don't have any of my exhaust cards, I'm hosed. Like there's nothing I can really do with my main deck. At least I can side in some help, but with my main deck, like that is so nasty. A Darksabered armored Boba Fett, and my confidence in taking this game away has been shot. Jesse's got 20 damage on base. I think I just have to go with... I just have to tempo out here. Because at this, I mean, he can only deal 10 damage to my base. So I've just got to tempo out and go around it here. Because there's no way I'm getting through that with Boba. So, I'm doing the math here to see how beastly Boba actually is. You can see I've got a Plo Koon in my hand. I was considering the ambush there, but I don't think that would have done me any good. No reason to do that. Because now I have to do an additional 3. So I have to do like 9 damage at once to get rid of Boba if I did it through combat. So I'll swing in there. And Jesse's going to play the Marauder to come in and take my Falcon away. So Jesse's at 25 on base. Still has not swung in with Boba. DJ's showing 5 damage with a Hot Shot Blaster. And now I've got to figure out how I'm going to, I could just, if I claim here, he'll just kill DJ and I'll lose my board. So I have to put something on the board. I've got an Emphy's Nest in my hand, but I don't necessarily want to bounce Marauder. Smuggle in the Falcon. Obviously no ambush if it's played from Smuggle. So now I'm showing lethal in both arenas. And that pretty much puts Jesse in a tough spot because if he's, 2 resources up, if he swings in with Boba, I'll claim, and I've got lethal in space. Or if he claims, I've got multiple ways to deal with it. So that's a scoop for Jesse. But holy cow, is that scary. And that is like my worst fear playing Han is big, beefy leaders. I went ahead and this was our first game. I got the second game as well. All right, jumping into our second matchup, I got a Bossk Green, and I'll start with a Crafty Smuggler. What I have found is these 2/2 shieldeds turn 1. I mean, look at that. That happens so fast. 2/2 shielded on turn 1 just gets absolutely punished here. I'm going to just play it again because it happens so fast. Crafty Smuggler comes down. The bounty goes on. I claim, he pings it. And then Daring raids it. And has claimed a bounty at turn 1. Hate that. Hate that entirely. Definitely something to watch out for in this matchup. So this shell right now, and he's got, yeah, the laser tech comes down turn 1. Insane. This shell, if some of you have been paying attention to the PQ results, Bossk Green and Vader Green have really started to make a presence. And I think this is a deck where, in a shell that Han Yellow does struggle into. They're ramping, so DJ becomes less effective. Go ahead and pull out a spark here. Not totally sure. I mean, Sentinels, and maybe I should have taken away another piece of ramp for him, but those Sentinels also will gum things up. So now he's got 2 laser techs down turn 2. So I really don't want to play anything into the ground because he can swing damage in for 4 and ramp. Like I'm already pretty much hosed at this point. Like you can see I've got a Cunning in my hand. You know, it feels bad to play Cunning on something with no like units available to buff. But yeah, I've got to bounce one of those and I'll just exhaust the other. And he has no problem just playing the laser tech again. So, I mean, really just like a nothing phase there. So, I mean, horrible spot for me to play in because if I play a unit on the ground, he's just going to attack into it and ramp. So at least I shut him down from ramp, but now I'm, you know, resourcing up to 6 now, I think, with Han. Flip Han here. Yeah, Bossk especially because he's a 5 deploy leader and he's ramping. So DJ is almost useless in this matchup. It's incredibly hard to pull. You'd have to like tech and be able to pull it off and, you know, have him not flip his leader during that phase at all. It's virtually useless. So I do swing in with Han, put some pressure on base. I've got open resources, but you know, you can see I've got a Han in my hand. Emphy's Nest would have been perfect here. It doesn't look like I have it in my hand. But yeah, having Han just, you know, kill a laser tech with that ambush feels pretty bad. And so I put Han down with no ambush. Might as well just get the body out there. He'll play the Sentinel, and I'll claim initiative. Holding out on his Bossk flip for some big bounty swings. And then, you know, that's another thing too, like upgrades in general. I talked about big, beefy, upgraded leaders, but even bounty upgrades are not super easy for me to deal with. You know, Bamboozle is not the greatest response to it because you have to exhaust your own unit. Or dump a card, you know, just pay 2 to bust something. Confiscate definitely belongs in the sideboard. It's obviously like that's like the sideboard card, but Confiscate's got to be in there. Take out the Sentinel for free. Obviously, he's up to 7 now, I believe. It might even, I can't even see. It looks like 8 actually. 3, 1, 2, 3. I think that's 2 with his ramp. So, yeah, lots of ramping, lots of resources going on there. I'm not really applying that much tempo just because of how that first phase, like, I'm still recovering from that. He flips Bossk now. Both of my units are gone, and I Plo Koon into Bossk, so that felt pretty good, at least. Quick and easy Bossk removal, so no double claims will be happening this game, but he still has a ton of resources with ramp, and in comes Palpatine to zap Han, all 6 of that damage, and takes me out of coordinate, so Plo Koon is small. Not ideal. And, in this shell, the blue, green, red shell, the top end of their curve absolutely outclasses mine. So at this stage of the game, like, he's only got 8 damage on his base. There's no pressure I can apply because he's already in range of Crate Dragon, Reinforcement Walker, Mauls. He's played Palpatine. It's just nasty. Hot Shot Blast Han into Palpatine for the trade. And I'm, I don't know, maybe there's an argument that I should have just played tempo and gone into base and forced him to, but, Palp's got Overwhelm. He can survive that trade and then play like a Crate Dragon right now and just create a disgusting board. So, do what I can, making sure I resource. I think I messed up the Hot Shot Blaster, the Smuggle, and the Han ability. So we were making sure I got that straight. And now Maul comes down to take out Plo Koon. Deals the Overwhelm damage. So, yeah, I mean, this is, and my next matchup is going to be against another Bossk Green. And I've really got to study those matchups because it's tough. Your DJ play becomes useless. So now you just have to, they have, especially the top end of the curve, like, really good when played and, like, really good ambushes. So, like, bouncing a Maul feels really bad. Bouncing a Vader seems really bad. Bouncing a Palpatine seems really bad. Even bouncing like a Reinforcement Walker late game. All of those big plays for him feel really bad for bounce removal. So this is a matchup I'm going to study. If any of you guys have, input on how to deal with this shell, maybe specifically Bossk, because I am afraid of Vader a little bit as well. It's easier to pull off DJ with Vader on that 7 deploy. You have time to actually pull off the DJ. But also this shell, I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet. This shell has the easiest response to DJ in Force Choke, where they can just zap it for 5 for 2 resources. So that is also a huge factor in how you play this matchup. And in comes the Crate Dragon. He's tapped out. I've got a card in my hand, or maybe 2, I guess. Trying to figure out how I can push across damage. It's not looking good. Crate Dragon is a game ender in this matchup. I have no easy removal. Being in space is somewhat nice because they can't zap the unit. It has to go to base or ground unit. Tech survives that, but then he daring raids to finish off Tech, so just played into nothing there. And he's got the board pretty much locked down. There's very little I can do here. I'm about 10 seconds away from a scoop, I'm pretty sure. I think that's a Cantina bouncer in my hand, so it'll keep Crate Dragon from swinging in, but got to keep the Falcon running. It's my only unit, so yep, bouncing the Crate Dragon. And in, it's a 5 cost card. He decides to put the 5 in on my base. And, I mean, yeah, pretty much any card he plays right now. Yeah, OB comes in to wipe the board. And, yeah, that's a scoop from there. Went 0-2 against this Bossk Green. And as I've already spoiled, get to play into another Bossk Green. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this matchup. We'll check out the other Bossk as well, see how it goes. Yeah, let's jump into that. All right, so third and final round. Like I've already mentioned, we're going into another Bossk Green, which I am dreading at this point after that last matchup. Yeah, and unfortunately, I think I'm stuck with a mulligan hand. I think my only turn 1 is a 2/2 shielded, which he gets to play right into, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, those 2/2 shielded, here comes the bounty. I mean, there's like 6 of those in main deck, and a lot of the times those end up being your only viable turn 1 plays. So the bounty comes in. I've got initiative again, so, obviously I want to, you can see I've sideboarded in. This is the second game, I should say, of this matchup. He took me game 1, so this is game 2. I've sideboarded in Bamboozle, and as you can see, I've got it in my hand. I want to get rid of that bounty, potentially gum up his line. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to do the discard or pay the cost for it. I go ahead and pitch Kira, exhaust L337, and Bounty Hunter's Quarry in particular, especially because it has that unique L337's that unique tag, so it gets even worse. He goes ahead and plays a price on your head, plays another Bounty Hunter's bounty, and then I smuggle in tech. And so yeah, now L3's doubled up on bounties. And yeah, so after bamboozling to take care of 1 bounty, he spends his whole phase putting 2 more on. And now I'm down quite a bit. I only have 2 cards in my hand now because I pitched a card to make that happen. Was able to play tech from resource, or smuggle out tech, so didn't completely screw my hand. That's the reason why I decided to pay the discard for bamboozles, because I had tech. So now here's a 3rd bounty. This is going to get out of hand very quickly if I don't deal with that. So I'll hotshot blaster tech. Like I said, after doing Han's ability and pitching a card to play bamboozle, I'm definitely behind in cards on hand. And now another Bounty Hunter's Quarry comes in, and he's gonna just get to ping that for free, and I have no response. I mean, there's nothing. I had none of my bounce cards. I had nothing I could do about that. So he's gonna sit here and claim all of these bounties. It's a unique unit, so he gets the bigger version of Bounty Hunter's Quarry. We got it. So let's see how nasty this board gets. Kylo's tie comes down from the first one. Now we'll do the second one. And I'm just sitting there dreading what I'm going to have to be dealing with here. decides to drop the client down. A double claim client is pretty gnarly, and splashing that in splashing that in for this deck is pretty nasty. That off aspect client coming down. And he'll go ahead and put 4 into tech on Bossk flip because he ramped price on his head twice. So yeah, this mega ramp with Bossk is just nasty. It becomes really hard to, like, the Han resource becomes so much less valuable because now at this point, me putting in Han resource is an action, like, just to play on curve with my opponent. So I sacrifice tech to take away Bossk. I don't want any double claim clients going on, which he was inevitably going to do if I didn't, if I were to swing that into base. So now, like I'm saying, so he's on 7 resources, and now I'm going to, I take an action to go to 6. It's just bad. Got a Han flip coming in with 4 resources up for my opponent. He'll put 2 damage into Han. Trying to decide whether or not I want to sacrifice Han into that Sentinel or play. I've got a Cunning in my hand, checking my smuggles. See if there's anything worthwhile there. It's a big board already to deal with. Go ahead and take out the Sentinel. Do the attack trigger and go to 7. Looks like my opponent just claims initiative there, and I'll get the free client kill with Han and go to phase. So, I mean, Han is arguably the best unit in my deck. So having him out on the floor, I do feel a little bit better, and I'm still up. The client, I was able to get rid of the client without having any of those bounties claimed. Not even, especially a double claim, but even a single claim client, which I feel pretty good about. But he's just, so far up on resources. And now the top end of the curve comes in. And Vader shenanigans can take place. So now he gets to go fetch for a bigger board. Very tough to go wide against this situation, especially with like those 2 bounties that he claimed on my L337. Like, he's going to get wider than me from the jump. But I'm telling you, man, this green-red villain mid-range, I think it took us a while to see how it was, to realize that it was meta-worthy. So the Cunning gets to buff Han and bounce the Sentinel, so able to push some damage there. So I'm up 10 on damage right now. And just trying to race at this point. Trying to see if I can sneak in some tempo here. The Vader on board. Kylo's tie. He's gonna OB to wipe out Han, which is rough. Brutal for me. And I've got the gunship ambushing into Kylo. And it'll survive that ambush, which feels nice. At least can keep 3 damage off board. But that extra 2 from Overwhelming Barrage is going to get across. And then play the Falcon. So pivoting to a space arena here. We're playing opposite each other at this point. He's definitely got a stronger ground than my space is strong. See how this can maneuver. He's got, I think that's the first overwhelming barrage he's played, so there's more of those to come potentially. He's got initiative. Yeah, there comes another overwhelming barrage, which wipes that board. Feels really bad. Checking my smuggles here. Trying to see what I've got that can help out. And I'll smuggle in that Falcon. One card that I forgot to mention earlier that I've started to like is Zori in Han. She's a 5 cost that you can smuggle for 6. On attack, she draws you a card, and then at the end of the phase, you discard. And she's a 4/7 stat, which I really like. And I need to get a couple more copies to get live play tests for her. But I've started to favor her more than the Falcon. A 5/5 in space is nice to smuggle out. It has its perks. Got a Cunning coming in clutch here. Exhaust Vader. Bounce the Punishing One. Exhaust Punishing One, Exhaust Vader, and I'll buff the Falcon. I'll just go ahead and take 3 into base. And this is going to get real cheeky here. Another Cunning. Buffing the Falcon again. So now the Falcon is swinging in for 13 now, I believe. 4, 8 plus 5. And I'll go with the discard. So that leaves him 1 card in hand. And I pitched a Reinforcement Walker, which maybe would have saved, absolutely would have saved him from this 13 damage Falcon swing. He could have dropped that right now, healed 3, and then 13 would have put him at 29. And he scoops. Nothing he can deal with a double Cunning play on the Falcon. So a miraculous, and for full transparency, I top decked both of those Cunnings. So literally the only thing that could have brought me back into the game after getting all those bounties claimed on L337 were all 3 of my Cunnings getting played and resulting in a 13 damage swing from my smuggled Falcon. Sometimes it happens. Magic happens. That's card games for you. I did drop the 3rd game, though. Ended up going 1 and 2. Just really struggled against this matchup. So like I said, anybody that's got tips and pointers into going into this shell, specifically Bossk, but also Vader, drop them in the comments. I really want to know because this is something I'm very seriously considering for PQ. You may see a little bit less content in the next week and a half or so. I've got some stuff going on, but right after that, it'll be crunch time for PQ. So I'll be cramming in some practice and some content. So yeah, drop those tips in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.